A very good morning to you. Here we are yet again. It is another beautiful Wednesday, and on Wednesdays we have the Financial Clinic on Family Radio 316 and also live on Family TV. The Financial Clinic is a forum where we discuss issues money. We talk about your money because a lot of us are having issues with our money. We don't know what to do with our money, and we're always looking for a better paying job, and we don't know how to manage what we have. And every time we talk about money, I remember the story of the talents. In the Bible, one was given 5, one was given 2, another one was given 1. And the Bible says each was given according to their ability. That talks about everyone has an ability and it's not the same. And the one with 5 went and multiplied it, invested, came back with 10. The one with 2 multiplied it, invested, came back with 4. The one with 1 hid it. And it's interesting, the one who had 5 and now 10 was rewarded. The one who had 2, now 4 was rewarded. The one who had 1 and came back with 1 was punished. There was no growth. Even the little that he had been given was taken away from him. That parable encourages me because it tells me that I may not have necessarily a choice on where I begin, but I have a choice on where I end up. I can increase my capacity. And so this morning on the Financial Clinic, it's all about financial literacy and the importance of financial literacy. If you have any questions concerning money and financial literacy, you can begin to send them in on 20316, WhatsApp on 0786 316 316. I will be introducing my guest to you in the next short while as we kick into this discussion. Do me a favor, if you know somebody who's always having money issues, their problem may not be money. Their problem may be their understanding. Call them up, tell them to tune in and listen, because I believe the information we are about to give you is information that will change your financial status. So stick around with me. In the meantime, let's listen to Testify. This is a song by Need to Breathe. The song is called Testify. It's done by Need to Breathe. It's playing on Family TV. We are live on Family Radio 316 as well. It is the Financial Clinic on Jam 316. Now, this morning, we want to have a discussion on financial literacy and why it is important. In studio with me today, Alex Kibebe, investment consultant from Rubiani Wealth Management. How are you doing?
Asante sana.
Good to have you here.
Yeah, sure.
Tuanze mwanzo with this financial literacy. When we talk about financial literacy, what exactly are we talking about?
Well, that's a good question, and I think it's becoming more and more relevant, especially in our current day. I mean, you've heard all about the economy. So many people have lost jobs. And I think it's more and more people are wondering what's happening with their money. And so I think the conversation of financial literacy is becoming more important. I would say financial literacy is having the knowledge and skills to be able to manage your finances so that your money is able to do what you want it to do. And it's not just the knowledge, but it's applying the knowledge, because you want to see the results. So that's what I would call financial literacy in a nutshell. Maybe I can give you a little background. I used to work in a bank. I left working in a bank to start a stock agency to be able to help people invest in stocks. And I did that for some time, but I noticed that we were not providing a solution. People would come when there's an IPO, when there's a hype, they invest, then they disappear. Yes. So we started asking ourselves hard questions. Are we providing a solution or a service? Are we fulfilling what these customers are coming to do? And that really stirred up an interest in providing knowledge, this literacy, so that people are not just in and out. You don't know what you're up to. You hear this, you jump there. Is there a way we can provide a knowledge so that people are able to progressively see the results of their financial investments? And so that's what inspired the introduction of the Rubiani Wealth Management. We pretty much do consultancy and financial literacy. We even run a class and everything. But the whole aim is to try and help people to be able to manage their wealth towards getting to that end where they're able to fulfill. Be it, some people, all they want is to be financially safe. They want to know that tomorrow they're okay. Some people have goals. They want to own a home, they want to rent a properties, they want to retire early. So depending on what your goal is, if you're able to achieve it through your month-to-month income or however you make income, then I feel that your financial literacy has bore the fruit for its intent.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, achieving all these things you're talking about, that, you know, people have dreams, people have goals. Is it based on their level of financial literacy, or is it based on the income they get?
That's a very good question. Actually, you are just telling me how in the morning a lot of people are praying for a better paying job.
Better paying job, yes.
I tell you, I mean, there's quite a number of myths when it comes to money. And that is a critical myth, that, you know, if I get more money, then I'll get out of the mess I am in. But the reality about financial literacy, it's not about the money you make. It's about how you use what you make. It's about how you manage what you make. And so I remember when I used to work in the bank, I used to be in a position where I was managing employees and, you know, their loans, their bills and such. Yeah? And I discovered that the people with the higher paying jobs were in higher debt, were in higher problems. They would call me and tell me, please don't run that standing order. I'm in a situation. They're always the people who are in financial problems. So the reality is, if you're not able to manage money where you are now, when more money comes, it will take you into more problems. They say money just makes you more of who you are. If you're a person of debt, it's true, you'll get into more debt. If you're generous, you'll be more generous. If you're stingy, you'll be more stingy. Money just makes you more of who you are. So this is the right time. It doesn't, whatever income level you are, this is the right time to learn to manage, because financial success and financial literacy have more to do with how you manage what you have, not how much you make.
Not how much you make.
Yes.
It reminds me of what the Bible says when it says that he who is faithful with a little, more will be given to them. But sometimes we come from a place of what I have is so little, it's barely enough for my needs.
Yes.
How do I even manage that? I need more. My issue is not management. My issue is I need more, because I feel like what I already have is not enough.
Yes. And just going back to what we were saying, I think it's important to learn that you will never have enough. That's just the reality of life. And the only way you will get out of that mess is if you become intentional about managing that little that you have. Again, going back to the verse that you've said, it's being intentional about managing that little you have. And you see, in fact, when you talk about investment, the beauty about it, you can invest with as little as 500 bob, and I know a lot of us can have that 500 bob. But as you're saying, we all say there's that, again, deception that we always say, let me just get out of this mess. But you know, you've been saying it for 6-7 years, so I think it's high time you realize that life is all about ups and downs, and if you want to be able to break away from whatever financial struggles you are in, then you have to be intentional. And one of the process of being intentional is getting the right knowledge, and knowledge is available. We say, of course, we're in the information world, but we're also in the misinformation world. So it's important to cut through a lot of fluff that is out there, get to the right stuff. And of course, when you get to the right stuff, as you mentioned, it's about applying is as important. I always say one of the biggest setback of investing is when you listen to a show like this and do nothing about it.
You can say that again. You mentioned myths about money. What would you say are some of the common myths that you've come across?
Wow, that's a good question. And the first one, as you've mentioned it, is I don't make enough to invest. And I always tell people, and I have seen it. One of my first clients, especially when I went to consulting, they started they went through a life crisis, they went through a divorce, and of course some of these things get you to the reality, and so she needed to invest aggressively, and we came and had a financial plan. So I introduced her to things like money market products, wealth management, some of the structured products, and she invested in such great success. And you know, she introduced it to her house girl. Her house girl. And she started investing in money market, and I was so blown out. I mean, how many people, imagine how many people even understand what money market is. And just to see it's not about income. That's the underlying thing. It's about knowledge. And just before we move on, I would say this is what I've seen. Most of these things are a mindset.
Okay.
Once you're able to break a mindset, if you've never invested in stocks and you start investing, you've broken into a new mindset. You've never got into real estate and you own your first real estate property. That's why you see there are huge differences between people. There's someone who has so much real estate. Maybe they're in the financial situation with someone else who has nothing. It's because they were able to continually break mindsets towards going to work for what they want. Yeah, so a lot of these things are about breaking mindsets. Maybe I can mention a few others. Common ones, especially the ones I've had in recent past. One of the major one I keep hearing is that I need to spend for my family to be happy. It's very common, especially with married couples. And we find that all we earn, we are spending on our child, on our family, on wants really. You want to take them out, you want to do this and that. But what I've learned is, I remember I talked about this in the last show, that we did a survey of our high net worth clients, asking them, what do you think contributed to you being different from the rest? And a vast majority of them said they learned investing from parents. So guess what? As you're buying all these things and being luxurious with your children, they're acquiring wrong habits. In fact, from the last show, I actually met someone. They called me up from the last show. They said they had me on radio and we had a sitting. I have a feeling she's listening to us. And she mentioned that she was in a financial crisis, a debt crisis. And she mentioned, as we were talking, she mentioned that she believes one of the reasons she was in that is because they lived in what she believed was an affluent life, because the mom and dad would give her anything. So when she started earning, she thought, I could do anything. This is the life. And so she started living above her means, and now she got herself into a debt crisis. I'm saying this because I'm seeing it more important for parents to apply the right financial skills, not just for themselves, but the children are learning. We learn through observation, and you'll be shocked how much family impacts the life of your children. So in as much as you're thinking you're doing good for your child, again, you might be doing the opposite. You might be setting them up for failure in future, which is very, very big. Of course, a major one, and you'll keep seeing it, is the difference between an asset and a liability. You talk to people, they tell you my car is an asset. They tell you my home is an asset, and all that kind of things. And I know there are different definitions. I don't want to go into accounting and all, but in general terms, what is an asset? I would say an asset is anything that brings you money. And a liability is everything that takes money out of your pocket. And so when you start understanding that, you rethink about your balance sheet. A lot of things I think are an asset. Are they really an asset or a liability? Because I always give this story about, I know it's really long, but the whole idea is there was this kingdom, it's a parable, there was this kingdom. The king gave a contract to two people to ferry water from the river. So one of them, they both started ferrying. One of them, as they ferry, in the evening they would get their pay. They would just buy a small pipe, connect it from the river towards the kingdom. And they kept doing that. And of course, over time, the one who was doing the pipes, they were able to make a pipe from the river to the kingdom, and they never needed to fetch water again. And I always tell people, and the other one, of course, they thought this is the way, so they kept ferrying buckets and buckets all their lives. And I always tell people, if you're earning income and you're not converting that income to passive income, you'll not work forever. So unless you're converting it to small pipes, you will end up working. And the reality is, a lot of people are retiring or getting retrenched with nothing. You have 10-15 years of work and nothing to show about it, it's sad, because but it goes back to our topic of today, the lack of financial literacy. So this person thinks that because they're earning an income, they just need to spend it. When the income goes up, they spend more, and they don't understand the importance of investing and setting aside money for the future, or for those things that you don't buy with an income, like a home and rental properties and such kind of things. There's
this other one of there isn't enough.
There isn't enough for you. In fact,
is that true or is that a myth?
I keep hearing it comes in various ways. Someone will tell you, I'm set for brokenness. I think we are just broke. That's actually a sad one. I'm just a broke guy. And it's sad. I think maybe they've gone they've just been down for too long. They determine this is my fate. And it's very sad. Another one I keep hearing is that if we all become rich, then who will this story go to? You know, it's sad. I mean, yeah. But the truth is, and the first thing is, financial goals and wealth and being rich is not owning, is not being that very rich person that we see on television or anything. Is number one is your ability to fulfill your goals. Do you want to own a home? Do you want to retire early? What do you want to do? You want to do, what is it that you want to do? If you're able to achieve that, are you financially stable? If you lost your job today, will you have to move houses or go to shags? And you know, these are realities of life. And so the first thing is that being rich is not, of course, if you're able to be that billionaire, well and good. But I think for most of us, being in that financial peace is the most important thing. Before even you start pursuing other things, just being in that financial peace, that you know that you are safe, your family is safe, and you have what you hope to achieve. And so just to break that myth is that there is enough for everyone. And the most important thing is that if you apply the financial literacy or have the right knowledge and apply it, you will be financially wealthy, or you'll get to that space that you're looking for, because everyone is looking for to get into there. There's a survey that was done by the Retirement Benefits Authority, but I'm not so sure if it was for Kenya. They just did a survey of 100 people of who left college and got a good job. How many of them at retirement, or where are they at retirement? And the results were mind-blowing. I think for Kenya it probably was, but they were saying out of 100 of people who retire with good pay, I mean with a good job, I mean they leave college with a good job, only one out of those 100 is rich. That is sad.
1 out of 100?
Yes. Another 4 are able to maintain their lifestyle after retirement. Another 15 are able to survive financially. Maybe they move to shags or they change their life, but they're able to survive on their own. But a staggering 80 out of 100 they have to depend on their children. They have to depend on the government. They are basically broke. And that's a sad reality. And the reality is we all leave college with these dreams and believe that for me I'll make it. But you see, if you lack the knowledge and you never start, because I think one of the biggest problem is the procrastination gap. I call it the procrastination gap, because you see what happens with things like investing. If you don't start investing today and start June next year, there's no immediate impact. We call them the urgent versus the important. You know it's important, but it's not urgent. There are other urgent things that keep coming. But you see, the problem is if you keep doing that, you'll just be a part of the statistics. In retirement, you'll come, you'll start panicking as time is going, you start making the wrong decision, going to the wrong investments for quick rich schemes. The little that is remaining, you throw it away. And so I think the first thing I tell people is that investing is a marathon. You must see it as such. It's a lifelong, it's a lifelong process. And so you must pace yourself. You must build the right habits. And I think because you're in TV, maybe I can demonstrate. I always say if this is your goal and your habits are this way, guess what? You never get to your goal. So it's important to have the habits that will take you to where you want to be. Yes.
Do you have any questions for us today? 20316 is the SMS line, and the WhatsApp number is 0786316316. Lynette says she's listening. Please say a big hello to Alex. Mwambie niko na kalamu na karatasi.
Nice.
I hope you are taking notes. You're not just holding the paper and pencil. I hope you're taking notes. I have Evans from Huruma. I have your question. We'll talk about it in the next short while. Remember, we are talking about the importance of financial literacy. The Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. How much knowledge do you and I have when it comes to money? 20316 SMS, WhatsApp 0786316316. As we listen to David Crowder, song is called Go Tell It on the Mountain. Tell it on the mountain, over the hills, and everywhere that Jesus Christ is born. It's David Crowder, beautiful song playing on Family TV. We are live on Family Radio 316. It is the Financial Clinic. We are talking about financial literacy and its importance. And in studio, I have Alex Kibebe from Rubiani Wealth Management, and he is an investment consultant. Your questions are coming in via 20316, WhatsApp 0786 316 316. I have my sister listening in all the way from Maputo. Millie, how are you doing? Unasema unakunywa chai na chapo. That one ni uchokozi. Yeah, you are looking for me and you will find me. But thank you so much for tuning in today. A couple of questions coming in. Yeah, sure. Two people asking about the money market. They're asking, money market, which animal is this? Explain to them what this money market is.
Yeah, maybe I can explain and probably give a background. They're what you call the primary investment products, where the person investing goes directly to the person who's borrowing or is in need of money, or they're able to get into the actual thing that they're investing in. Things like stocks, when you're investing in a company, especially when they do an IPO, they're borrowing money from the public, so you become a shareholder. So the stock market is a primary one. There's real estate. You buy land, you build a rental property or something like that. That's a primary one. There are things like treasury bills and treasury bonds. That's the way the government borrows money from the public. And those are usually primary products that you can go, if for example you want to buy a T-bill, you buy from the government directly. If you want to buy a treasury bond, if you want to buy a stock, of course there's the secondary market, the Nairobi Stock Exchange, Securities Exchange, where you can buy. Now what happens is that the Capital Markets Authority has licensed a group of around 20 fund managers who've been licensed to be what we call providing structured products. So what they do is that they collect money. They're like a chama, but now they've been licensed to do that from the general public. And then they invest that money in these primary products. So they can invest the money, the pooled money into stocks. When they do that, that's what is called an equity fund. They're usually called mutual funds because they are like mutual money, it's like a chama, or unit trusts because they're divided into units. So you buy units into that fund. So if you invest in, if the fund manager is investing in stocks, it becomes an equity fund. If they're investing in money market products are products that are usually short term, within a year, like treasury bills and commercial papers. They're just the way maybe corporates borrow, the government borrow within a short period of time. And because it's a short period of time, we call this the wholesale of money. It's only available to people with a lot of money. But now, because of this pooled money, they're able to give you the advantage of these products when you have your little money. So money market is one of them. There's also what you call the rate, or the real estate investment trust. So now that one is pooled and put into real estate. Maybe they buy property, buildings. Again, you as an individual, you cannot buy a rental building, but when you bring it together, then you're able to take advantage of the pooled money to own a portfolio of rental properties and make an income from that. So money market is one of them. It's the most popular. I think over 80% of the funds in mutual funds are in money market. It has its advantages. It's consistently been performing well in Kenya. They give around 9-10% per annum. So it's very simple. Again, all this information, it's there every day in the newspaper. It's time you flipped the newspaper and looked. You see, that's the thing. It's there on the websites and everything.
You're stuck on BBI.
Yes,
I have an observation from Maggie. Maggie from Suna Estate, how are you doing? Good to hear from you. Maggie says, I did my research on financial literacy and found that females sought the knowledge more than men. Is this true?
Whoa. We are two men in studio, so we don't know whether we want to shoot ourselves in the foot, But this is what I would say. It's a sad reality that I think, for example, even when you talk about the financial literacy class, I ran one, but the others, they say autonomy, there are all these others. And it's sad that a vast majority are women. That's the truth.
Wow.
A lot of people who call me up, a lot of people, because of course I'm on social media and everything, I can tell you a big percentage is women. And the sad thing is that when I you talk to people and everything, I discovered that I don't know whether it's our ego or something. Men don't want to be told. They feel they know. That is so sad. And then you end up doing messes. You end up going into high risk products. You end up looking for deals and hoping that this will sort you out. But you know, it's sad. Even I listen to a lot of people, and they give us stories of how maybe their family was doing well, then maybe they went down, and guess who sorted out the family? It's the mom, the chamas, this and that. It's just, I think it's a wake-up call for us. Let us look at it from both sides. That we need to be willing to be informed. We need to be willing to search, as you're saying. And not just to be informed and search, but to take action, because we need to change the narrative about this gender disparity. You know, we don't want just to get the woman going ahead. We also need to remember that boy child ni mambo ya boy child ni muhimu. So there's some truth in that.
Where do I get this financial literacy would be maybe a question that somebody would ask. Because sometimes I look at our education system and I think it really doesn't help in this area.
True.
You know, we are taught about so many things. We are taught how we need to do well and get this good job. In fact, there used to be like a song back in the day. So many vijana. I am still looking for that person who sang that song. He lied to us.
True.
We did get good jobs.
Yes.
So you get this good job because you want a good salary, but no one ever teaches you how to manage that salary. You know, I find the same problem in our churches. We focus so much on you giving your 10%, but no one talks to me about how to manage the 90% that I remain with. So where do I get this financial literacy?
Wow, I think maybe we first talk about our education system and the big flaw we have, because we don't talk. Money is like the main thing. When we go out, money is like the main thing, but we never teach about money, and so that's why there are so many problems. So I mean, you can imagine a lot of us have we know how much you'll earn at the end of the month. We know how much you'll earn at the end of the year. So it sounds easy to be able to just plan ahead. I know how much I'm earning, I know how much is living. But the reality is that a lot of us are in financial problem because we never learned it in school. I always say in all the way from primary school, there was a bell, there was a timetable. You knew you live here, you go there. This subject comes, exams at this time. When we go to a place of work, we are told, here is our entry, here is our outry, this is how you are supposed to work. But at the end of that month, they put money in your bank account. Nobody tells you what to do. You can take it to your mother, you can do whatever you want to do with it. And I think a lack of a system around our money is what makes a lot of us lose so many years when it comes to investing. And so I think the first thing you need to do is have a system as early as possible around your money. Have a financial plan and have a system, and there are different models that are out there. But to go back to the question you're asking, where do you start? Okay, fine, I'm in this problem. I agree, I don't have financial knowledge. So there are various things. Of course, the internet, we said it has information and misinformation. So it's important to know where to get the right stuff. But there are two books I usually recommend to people. The first one is called The Richest Man in Babylon.
I knew you would say that. I knew. That's an amazing book.
And it's a good starting point. And so I know many of us don't like reading. Just look for a summary online, and it will take you.
It's a
short
book.
By the way,
it's a story.
It's really, and these are good starting points because they help you understand how money works. Another book, of course, I would recommend is Rich Dad. Of course, Kiyosaki is big, and I think he's really helped in demystifying and bringing financial literacy. Let's be honest, And so of course, he's written a couple of books. I would recommend Cash Flow Quadrant and Rich Dad Poor Dad. Those, I think, were his first two books. Of course, there are many more he's written, but those two will give you the starting point, a good foundation for financial literacy. I would tell you start with those two. They will set you in the right direction. But maybe I can give you a few tips.
But even before you go there, there's a problem I usually see, and it's mostly with men and not with women. I find that for a good number of men, it's hard for them to go into a bookshop and buy this book. At it's how much? 2,500. Juanita Jisoma. I don't know what happens to us, but you can buy a phone for 100K. And you feel nothing. But a book or so on. Alex has a course on financial literacy. How much is he charging? 50K.
It's actually 15,000. But they'll say, wow, that's so much money. But
Why
I'm
are we
trying
like-
to invest and I'm putting aside 15K. But
Why
as
are we
you're
like
saying,
that?
you're spending so much
Yeah.
on the wrong stuff.
Somebody will spend 30K over the weekend with friends taking booze somewhere.
It's true.
But they can't pay 15K to enhance their financial knowledge.
Imagine.
Why do we behave like that?
I think it is sad, but as we are going back to what we were saying, number one, especially for us men, you mentioned it's more with us men, is I don't know whether we have an ego issue. Let's be honest. And you feel, what is this guy telling me?
Yeah.
Huyu ni nani?
Is he
You
trying
know,
to say he's better than
yeah, anajua, you know, such things, yeah. And I think that really affects us, number one. Number two is about priorities. And there's a certain mindset that somehow things will work themselves out.
Yeah.
And they never do.
Yeah.
Unless you're intentional about stuff, yeah. You mentioned about the parable, yeah. And the guy who decided to go on auto and hide his money, I mean, nothing came out.
Yeah.
The two who are recommended put their money, their talents to action. Yeah, they really were proactive about it. And the reality is, unless you're proactive, you will never find your way to being to getting to where you want. Yeah, and so I think that is a big gap that we hope with time you are going to be able to break it.
Okay.
And men specifically will
Yes.
start wanting to find out about these things. And you know, as a leader, as the heads in our families, we want to take them in our families in the right direction. Yeah, remember, you're not just investing or making the right decision for yourself, but you're also mentoring your children.
Yeah.
So very important.
Okay. Okay. There's something I want us to talk about when we
Yes.
when we go on with this discussion in the next short while. I find that there's this myth that we've also believed that anybody who has money is corrupt.
Yes.
Uwe lazima akuwe ni corrupt.
And it
It's-
consoles us in our situation.
Yeah. It's like it's not possible for somebody to start from down there and actually get to a place where they are financially free, so to speak.
Yes.
So we'll talk a bit about
Yes,
that.
sure.
I can see some questions coming in. Do me a favor. Don't wait until it's 5 minutes before the show ends and then you start bombarding me with 52 questions. Send them in now. 20316 SMS line. WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. We are talking about the importance of financial literacy. Have you invested in yourself to know about money? That's a very critical question. As your questions come in, some music for us. This is Casting Crowns. Song is called Only Jesus. Beautiful music. It's done by Casting Crowns. It's called Only Jesus, and it is happening on Family Radio 316. We're live on Family TV. It is the Financial Clinic. This comes your way every Wednesday between 8 and 9 in the morning, both on Family TV and on Family Radio. In studio with me today, Alex Kibebe, investment consultant with Rubiani Wealth Management, and we are talking about the importance of financial literacy. And I can see a lot of questions are coming in. Question here talks about the 80-20 rule. How does that apply? Says, kindly elaborate on the 80-20 rule from a financial point of view.
Interesting. Of course, the 80-20 rule is used across different. In
Yes.
fact, I'll give an example. I just give an example of the survey that was done. And 80 out of 100 are the people who ended up being broke.
Yes.
Yeah, if you did the math. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's interesting that only a small percentage of us are intentional about stuff and we get results. It's that simple. Yeah. But when it comes to money, let me say this: there are different rules that have been given out, that have been canvassed out there
Okay.
to help us manage money. Yeah? One of them is the 80-20 rule. Of course, if adjusted to a Christian, it might be 80-10-10 because we have to give it's our tithe. Yeah? And so we want to put a certain percentage to our money. It's very important. Actually, that's the first thing we want to teach once we are walking that journey.
Okay.
I remember I talked about this last show, that you can be able to, it's important to do an exercise and see where is your money going.
Yeah.
What percentage of money goes this, there. And there are different people. I know there's one, Elizabeth Warren. I think she's running for president in the US. But she wrote a book that popularized one. It's called the 50-20-30 rule. And says 50% of the money goes towards your needs. Yeah. Rent, the things that you have to do to keep alive.
Yeah.
Then says 20% should go to wants. Yeah. And then talks about 30% going to investing.
Yeah.
That's the 50-20-30 rule. Of course, as we mentioned, there's a 80-10-10. Some say spend 80, invest 10, and tithe 10.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, these are very important. They help us manage the money, you know. But what we say, the most important thing, there are two very critical things when it comes to financial literacy, is having a financial plan. Because I want to start, I should have started by saying this: investment is not an end in itself.
Yeah.
It's a means to an end. Yeah. So we don't invest money just for the sake or to pile up money. Money is a means to an end. It has to be going towards something. And so the first thing you need to do is have a financial plan. That this is how I want to get to those things that I want to. Be it a passive income, be it early retirement, owning a home, building rental property. The goal must be there. Otherwise, the investment lacks meaning. Yeah? The second thing we talk about is consistency. So it doesn't matter the percentages you're running with.
Yeah.
The most important thing is your ability to be consistent with whatever percentages that you have chosen.
Yes.
And I want to mention this because it's a reality. Many of us are indisciplined. In fact, I think all of us are indisciplined.
Yes.
So it's easy for me to tell you, set aside X and invest. But it's easier said than done. And so one of the things we tell people is use tools that are available to make us disciplined. Don't prove a point to yourself. Yeah. Use tools that are available, be it like putting a standing order to an investment account, like the money market we are talking about, so that the money leaves you before you see it. Then the remaining money, of course, I can teach you about budgeting and everything, but if it's not in your system, you'll keep defaulting on it. But as long as you are consistent through other mechanisms, such as a standing order to your investment, then your investments are growing, even as you build your ability to learn how to budget and such kind of things. Yeah, so that's what I would say about the rules.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. There was another question here. One of the things that's becoming quite popular, I'm seeing it all over social media, is the whole issue of forex trading. Somebody says, what do you think about those forex trading guys who offer 20 to 30% returns per month? Are they legit, or is this a scam?
Good question.
Yeah.
I think the first thing you've mentioned is a lot of products are out there.
Yes.
It's important to know the right product. And maybe I'll mention a little bit about the right product shortly, yeah? But specifically about that question, I've been in the investment industry for like around 10 years now.
Okay.
And I've seen a lot of those come. You know, they come, they guarantee a return. Some is through Forex, some even through the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Tells you I'll aggressively trade in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. I'll be able to give you X% return. The first thing I'll say is that, to be very honest, it's almost impossible to guarantee a return when the product that you're investing in has no guarantees. It's that simple. There are no guarantees with Forex. Nobody knows how the dollar will trade to the... You might have a lot of information and everything, but nobody can be able to tell. And so I've seen a lot of these companies come and fall through the cracks because they of course they'll make wrong decisions. Nobody is able to make right decisions with such products, and so they're unable to fulfill what they've told their clients, and of course they go into legal suits, some disappear and all that kind of thing, because you cannot guarantee a return when the underlying... There are some, like for example, treasury bill, the government guarantees you that in 6 months will pay you 6%, in 1 year will pay you 9%. That's a fixed return product. It's fixed income product, But on products that are not fixed income, like Forex, like stock market, you cannot guarantee a return. And I've seen a lot of people make mistakes. Of course, we've also heard about the Bitcoin.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't want to go on air much with the Bitcoin. I might be short dead, But there are a lot of products. What I will say is that there are a lot of products that are out there. And how can you tell whether this is a legit product or not? I can give you just a few tips. Number one, I always tell people, look at the underlying product. What is going below, Because some of these products, the focus is on the 20%. The focus is on the 30%. But have you gone down to see this person doing Forex? Are they able to give that 20-30%? What's the underlying product? And I remember there's a time there were all these Ponzi schemes and everything. And you see, people don't question what is behind. You're just a lot of these. And you know, we use things like greed to be able to pull people in. But a lot of them have, I mean, the history is out there. Most of these rich quick schemes, they end up with nothing. It's even in the Bible. But so one of the things I tell you, look at the underlying asset. The second thing I say, is there any governance or protection, or is there any authority that protects that particular product? Very important, because I know there are all these Ekeza and whatever, products that have come and fallen, I honestly think, because I've met some of these people, they had the right goodwill when they were starting.
Yes.
But there's no regulation around some of these things, So they can make a mistake along the way because there's nobody to watch over what they are doing. If you look at some of these money market products, for example, the government is very specific. There's a custodian, there's a fund manager, and then there's a trustee. So when you give in money, it doesn't go to the fund manager, it goes to the custodian.
Yes.
So the fund manager is making decisions on money held in trust by someone else. Then, of course, there is the trustee who checks to see that this person is making decisions in the best interest of the unit trust holder. Then there's the government. There are a lot of rules. You cannot put more than 5% of the funds in a money in a single product. There are rules that have been put to protect.
Safeguard.
And then there are important rules because I've seen some of these people, maybe they have something like an off-plan. I know you've heard of off-plan building. They get money, then they decide, they are convinced by some of these forex guys putting their money there, the guy disappears. So you have people who've entrusted you with money. They are waiting for their houses, and you've cooled money. Those things happen, and I think it's a lack of regulation. And then the third thing I always tell people, I know this might sound biased, but I always tell people, go for tried and tested products. Don't be the guinea pig. This is your hard-earned money. Number one. Number two, this is a marathon. Why don't you use products that have been tried and tested, that have regulation, and that you understand? So that maybe, because we might talk about forex today, tomorrow there'll be something else and something. So maybe that's a good check before entering into something. Does it pass this criteria so that I can put my hard-earned money in it?
Okay.
Yes.
I think we have time for one more question before we run out of our minutes. What's the role of insurance in financial literacy?
That's a very good question. And the reality is, if you don't have a fallback, your journey could easily be crippled. Because there's I don't like using statistics, but I'll use one more statistics. But there's a statistics that was done in the US, and they were saying that on average, every individual will get a substantive financially impacting event, at least one every 8 years. Well, that's just a statistic. But the reality of life is, we always go, be it a health issue, be it this and that. And so there are two things I always recommend to safeguard your investment journey. Number one is insurance. Number two is having an emergency fund. So let's first talk about insurance. Insurance, it's important to pick the right insurance because there are a lot of insurance out there. And I always recommend the first thing is about health insurance. If you're not employed, or your employer does not give you health insurance, it's very critical. Number one, get NHIF. It's 500 bob a month. Very affordable, and NHIF is being able to cover more and more stuff. I think they've done a really good job in that area. Second thing, get an affordable inpatient cover, because outpatient, many of us can be able to cover outpatient. I know is expensive, so I tell people, if you can be able to have a fund for your family in case of outpatient, many of us can handle outpatient, but inpatient can really run you. It can run. Yes, it's true. So get an insurance for your health. That is very critical. The second one, again, depending on what you're exposed to. If you look at something like home insurance, insuring against your property, so that against theft or fire or anything, you'd be shocked that a bill of like 2 million plus, you're only paying like 7,000 an year. When you look at the difference, the commensurate, the impact vis-a-vis what you're giving, and that's the whole idea about insurance. We tell people, take insurance for the stuff that is not so frequent, but if it happens, it will set you far behind. Those are the kind of things. So look at what are your risks. Again, don't overtake insurance. Some of these things are duplicated. If you listen to the insurance agent, and I sell insurance, they might oversell stuff to you. So know the right stuff, pick the right insurance. Of course, including talking about the emergency fund. Always set aside an emergency fund. And people say, 8 months of your salary and such. This is what I tell people. It's not about how much you send. It's about how much you set aside. Maybe you say, I'll be putting 2K towards this, be it a money market product or something, as an emergency fund. So build it over time. Within 3 years, you'll be shocked you have a sizable amount of money. So don't be so aggressive in building. Just do it slowly. Yes.
I can see we've run out of time, and I'm hearing voices in my head. And it's not the voice of the Lord, it's the voice of my producer. Several people asking, please, before you finish, ask him to mention the books he's talked about again. Yeah.
2 important books. That is it's The Richest Man in Babylon by George Samuel. I think Carson, I'm not so sure, but George Samuel. Then Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. You can also try Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, or Robert Kiyosaki has written a series of books, but you can start with those 2. I think that's a good starting point for financial literacy.
Great. Kabla tuende off air, tuma salamu.
Oh, nitume salamu. Asante. I think I would like to say hi. I think first and foremost, I'm going on air on this, but to my girlfriend, Anne. She's been praying. She supports me, and I want to marry her soon. Wow!
Hallelujah. Praise the Lord.
I tell you, but also my mom. I'm not so sure she's watching. She likes vernacular stations, but my siblings and of course my clients who've really made me. I want to say a thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. We haven't finished this conversation.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll definitely call you back again so that we can pick up from where we've left off today and continue with this conversation. I hope what we've talked about has been beneficial to you. Financial literacy is very important. Get the knowledge and don't be content in just having knowledge. Begin to apply it. Begin small. Begin where you can and start building from there. A couple of years from now, you'll look back and you'll say, I thank God I listened to that show. Well, we've run out of time for our program on TV, but the show continues on radio. Before we get to 9 o'clock, I have time for one more song. This one is by who? Lorraine Deagle. Song is called Oh Lord.